In the world of hunters, each mission is a fight for survival. Let's explore the moments of tension and action in this story that mixes magic, monsters, and impossible challenges. Jinwoo, an E-level hunter, is about to face powerful enemies, and with each step, new alliances and complicated decisions arise in his path. But what he doesn't know is that his mistakes may have irreversible consequences. How will he handle the pressure of being the leader of his group? And what will he do upon discovering that his powers are more than he imagined? Don't miss the excitement of this epic journey. Stay until the end, and find out what will happen when he is forced to make choices that will change everything. Prepare yourself for a story of power, sacrifices, and great revelations. It all begins with Jinwoo waking up to a call from his sister, where she reminds him of the time, as today is the school interview. As soon as he hears this, he gets up and in no time, arrives at school completely prepared. So much so that Jina asks him if he really is her brother, as she is not used to his much improved and different appearance from before. And innocently, Jinwoo responds to her that he is clearly her brother, without understanding why she is behaving this way. She comments that it's not that he looks strange, but it's surprising how someone can change so much. Meanwhile, the girls at school start to admire Jinwoo's great appeal, attracting a lot of attention as they walk through the corridors. And, as expected, Jina takes the opportunity to ask if he is dating someone, and if he wants her to introduce him to a friend, but he simply pulls her cheek to make her be quiet. When he sits down with the teacher for the interview, she comments that Jina is a good student, very polite, and has good grades. This makes her an example for others, and the school has a lot of trust in her. The tests indicate that she might be able to get into the medical school she desires, so she doesn't see the need to pressure her further. With that, the meeting could have ended. But there is one question she would like to ask. If he would want his sister to work in the world of hunters, should she ever awaken as one? This surprises him, but without thinking much, he responds that he wouldn't, and asks why. The teacher asks him for a small favor, apologizing for being selfish. Later, Jinwoo meets with Hansen. He shows a photo where he is with his sister, and she intuits that he is Jin-A's brother. Understanding his intentions better, she tells him that it doesn't matter what he heard from the teacher. She is not going to school, much less will she stop being a hunter. In light of this stance, Jinwoo reminds her that she is an E rank, so she won't be able to have a decent life, and her only option would be his attack team. But he considers her a special case. Hansen explains to him that if he came just to argue, it's better to save his breath, and mentions the fact that he is also an E rank. Calmly, Jinwoo tells her that he didn't come to say she should stop being a hunter, and without further ado, asks her to accompany him. For a moment, we see the arrival of Hwang Dong-Soo from South Korea, where the association is located. At the airport, he is greeted by Woo Jin-chul, and upon seeing him, Dong-gu mentions that he didn't expect a welcoming committee from the association. Jin-chul asks him how long his visit will last, to which Dong-gu replies that it won't be long because he doesn't like this country. Despite his curiosity, Jin-chul asks him if he returned to this land he abandoned just because of those two individuals. Dong-gu asks him not to pretend he doesn't know, because what he wants is for them to turn a blind eye and let him do whatever he wants with them in a dungeon, starting with the E level and then the other. He asks if Jin-chul is going to stop him, eager to see him try, but Jin-chul makes it clear that he was sent just to do his job. Now we see Choi talking with Gu, where he informs him about the winged ants that could fly. Despite this, the bodies of these creatures fell into the sea, and perhaps they can't cover great distances, at least for now. With this information, Gu chooses to study them, as it is too early to draw conclusions. Later on, Jinwoo arrives at a portal along with Han, where he meets Sang-mi and Hun, members of the White Tiger Guild's management department. The two are delighted to see him, as they did not expect a request from him. When they see Han, they assume she is the girl he wants to train, and Jinwoo confirms that this is the case. Han explains that he asked for help at a good time, as it was announced that several portals will appear in this area, and a level C portal has recently appeared, which sounds quite interesting. This conversation is interrupted by one of the hunters, who informs them that they need to hurry with the portal ahead. They apologize to him and inform Jinwoo that the hunter is Kim Chu, a level A hunter who acts as a tank. This time it's a practical exercise for the most recent members, and who will support the army as the leader of the attack team. At this moment, Hon mentions that he was a bit annoyed when he heard about the observers, and you can see Kim complaining about being the leader of two level E hunters, referring to Jinwoo and Han. After that, Sang announces that the team is composed of 1 level A, 5 level B, 2 level C, totaling 8, making 10 in total with the level E members. Before leaving, Jun suggests to Jinwoo that he should limit himself to observing in this mission, since the idea is for the newcomers to participate, something he accepts without any issues, as that was his intention in the first place. The moment everyone enters the portal, it begins to undergo an aggressive change. Jin realizes what is happening and immediately grabs Han's hand to try to leave, but the portal invites them to stay. He barely manages to tell Sang to alert the main attack team. When he is forced to stay inside the portal, it doesn't take long for them to inform Baek, the head of the White Tiger Guild, that the C-rank portal has turned into a red portal. This quickly makes Baek understand the seriousness of the situation, so he sets out to go there immediately. Now we see that the team is concerned about the fact that the entrance portal is no longer surrounded by a snow forest. Kim tells them that it is a red portal, and since Hwang doesn't know what that is, Jin explains to him that, unlike normal portals, upon entering a red portal, all communication with the outside is lost. It is only possible to exit by defeating the boss or finding a breach in the dungeon, and they cannot be helped from the outside. Moreover, the monsters in this place are stronger than the calculated level. Suddenly, an arrow is shot at one of the hunters, killing him as it hits his head. On the other hand, another arrow that goes directly towards Hwang is stopped when Jin catches it in the air. They realize that they are ice elves, and Jin, upon analyzing them, considers them skillful, as it is difficult to see them from such a great distance, and it seems they are targeting the weaker ones. At that moment, Kim raises his voice to inform everyone that the red portal is isolated and its level is B or higher, and due to its level, they must follow his guidance to make it out of this mission alive. And even so, he doesn't find it convenient to lead everyone, so they will split into two groups from now on. They decide to take the strongest, denying the opportunity to those of level C or lower. 1 day here is equivalent to 1 hour outside. Whether by defeating the boss or finding a breach in the dungeon, they could spend months here. So it's necessary to lighten the load, leaving the lower level ones behind. A level B girl, Park Hee-jin, asks for permission to stay with the weaker group, and he grants her permission, assuming she does it out of compassion. She approaches Jin to ask if his level is not what he claims, as she saw how he caught the arrow minutes ago, and although he avoids answering, she imagines he is level A or perhaps higher. After that, Kim tells them that the group will continue along the path ahead, while he and the others will head into the forest. As they move forward a bit, Kim points out to his companions the scratches on the trees, which are from ice bears, and therefore he believes that the level E individuals will die. However, upon further reflection, he remembers that this group has a level B and a level C, so he doesn't understand why he considers Jin their leader. At that moment, some ice bears approach, but Kim stays in front to face them without any problems. On the other hand, Park tells him that this forest is ice bear territory and thinks it's dangerous to proceed through there. But Jin explains to him that this is precisely why they took this path. If it's ice bear territory, it means they only need to worry about them when leaving. Much better than dealing with the intelligent ice elves. She agrees, as it makes a lot of sense. Jin then mentions that the temperature in the grove is very low and takes out some coats for everyone from his inventory. They are surprised to see that he uses dimensional magic, as the best hunters who master this magic can usually only take out 2 or 3 things at a time. Hwang demands to know who he is, due to the things he is capable of doing, but Jinwoo approaches her and tells her that he is there because of him, and that he will take care of her, but only if she avoids asking questions. The same goes for the others, not wanting anyone to ask him for anything. At that moment, a large ice bear appears, and the first thing Jin does is change his title to Wolf Slayer, which grants 40% more damage against all animal-type monsters. Meanwhile, Baek arrives at the portal entrance, and due to the difficulty of the mission, hopes that Kim can save everyone. Sang informs him that there is also the hunter Jinwoo, who is level E. He believes that he has gone through a second awakening, but this has not yet been confirmed. At that moment, Dong-Sul arrives to greet them, but Baek asks what he is doing there in their zone. After all, he had gone to the United States. Dong-Sul finds it strange that the portal is theirs and asks if that is true. Then, he questions why a hunter from another guild, referring to Jinwoo, is inside the portal. Dong-Sul says he wants to meet him before he dies in there, since he went through the trouble of coming all the way here. Back to Jinwoo, after defeating the ice bears in the area, he leaves the others comfortably eating their meat. Now he heads to a cave where these monsters inhabit in large numbers. Upon reaching the entrance, he uses the command, appear, causing some knights to emerge from the shadows, the most powerful of them being Igris. Finally, he orders them to attack. His legion is composed of infantry, which regenerates quickly, and mages who handle the ice bears well. Jin thinks he expected less from them upon seeing how strong they are, but one bad thing is that they consume mana quickly. At that moment, what seems to be the leader of the Ice Bears emerges from the cave, easily destroying the Shadow Soldiers, and in a few seconds, lets out a bone-chilling roar, creating a shockwave that destroys everyone, leaving Jin without mana. Because of this, he tells Igris that it's his turn, and Igris begins to advance towards the leader. When the bear leader attacks, Igris uses his incredible agility to dodge the attacks and strikes its vital points precisely. When he finally has it on its last legs, he prevents it from making a final attack by cutting off its head. Jinwoo values his immense power, and opines that if Igris had his sword the whole time, the fight would have ended differently. He also acknowledges that with his current level, he is still weaker than Igris, and congratulates him on a job well done. Here we see Kim's current situation who is at the mercy of the White Elves, with his team completely annihilated. He cannot believe it, as he was about to become part of the White Tiger elite, and although he does not want to surrender, he loses his mind because of the Ice Elves. He makes the decision to flee hastily, quite terrified, which is observed by the leader of the Ice Elves. Once all the Ice Bears are defeated, Jin wastes no time and gives the command, "Rise!" turning the dead bears into his Shadow Soldiers, including their leader. Thus, he gains a large number of monsters under his command. On the other hand, Bayek asks his group how much time has passed, and they respond that about 3 hours, which means they have been there for roughly 3 days. Abasom, Bayek mentions that red portals are considered to be of great difficulty, which is why Dong-Sul believes that Jinwoo must already be dead by now, and that he shouldn't have bothered going there. Inko, but there is something that he doesn't understand. If Jinwoo is not a hunter from the White Tiger, how did he enter this dungeon accompanying one of their teams? See? Sang responds that he is an acquaintance of Jin, and it was he who brought him, as he said he wanted to see a sea-level raid. Baek sighs in relief, seeing that this convinces Dong-Sul. Moments later, Dong approaches Sang and grabs him by the neck, asking what he discovered this time, because he knows that he always has a good intuition for finding interesting things. Before responding, Bayek grabs his arm and unleashes his beastly strength, warning that he better let him go. However, Dong says that he is no one to give him orders and that he is a nobody who thinks he's big in a small country. Consequently, both unleash an enormous force, which greatly worries Sang, because they know that a fight between two S-level hunters can be disastrous. The two get carried away by the provocations and launch a powerful attack without the intention of retreating. And now we return to Kim, who, upon entering the forest, is affected by the cold, but believes that if he can get some equipment, he can survive. At that moment, he sees some dead ice bears on the ground, which explains why he hasn't encountered any until now. For a moment he wonders if it was the E-level group, but he quickly dismisses the idea, as they are not strong at all, and convinces himself that it was the Ice Elves, so he decides to leave quickly, terrified. The blow exchanged between Bayek and Dong is, luckily, interrupted by Jingu, who thanks both for holding back their strength at the last moment, as otherwise he would have lost his arms. Then he tells Dong that he doesn't know what he suspects, but he can assure that Jinwoo retook the exam just 2 months ago and has no doubt that he is E-level. He also explains that Dong's brother lost his life while working fighting monsters, and this was confirmed by the surveillance team. However, Dong believes that these investigations are full of gaps and is sure that it's a lie. He says he will go after the hunter Jinwoo, because that way, he has an excuse to take a life. At that moment, he receives a message that puts him in a bad mood. Then after mentioning that Jinwoo has good luck, he withdraws. After some time, Kim finally arrives where the others are, and is astonished to see them so comfortable and warm. He doesn't understand how they manage to survive. He notices that they are using coats, blankets, a tent, and even food. But upon thinking it over, he begins to understand what is happening, and approaches, quite furious, to inform them that his entire squad died because they had no equipment or food. He then asks who hid all this, who took these things, and who was responsible for leading them directly to their deaths. Next, he draws his sword, trying to force the truth out of them, but just before Jinwoo arrives, throwing him to the ground with a blow of his hand that sends him flying. After that, he loudly says, they can come out, because even if they try to hide, their auras give them away. Seconds later, the Ice Elves appear, and in the center of them is the leader. The leader of the elves refers to the humans as worms. Jinwoo, enraged, asks if he just called them worms, which surprises the leader. of the elves, as he did not expect that he could actually understand. He asks if Jinwoo really knows how to speak the language of the monsters, and Jinwoo is quite surprised by this, assuming it is also the work of the system, since he didn't even know about it. The leader named Barsa thinks it's good that they can communicate, as it saves time, and comments that one of his elves wants to face him. In the blink of an eye, Jinwoo reaches him and cuts off his head, and then tries to attack him, but Baruka blocks his attack, which makes Jinwoo realize that it won't be easy to defeat him. Baruka then asks what Jinwoo is doing among the humans when he isn't even one of them, and upon realizing his reaction, understands that he doesn't even know what he is. Baruka comments that the monsters hear a voice in their heads, telling them to kill the humans, but they don't hear it when it comes to Jinwoo. This is something that Jinwoo intuitively knows are orders from the system, and that it doesn't happen with him because he is the player. Baruka sees no need to fight, and proposes to Jinwoo that they handle this sensibly, and tells Jinwoo to hand over the humans. But as Jinwoo refuses, Baruka points out that Jinwoo is clearly outnumbered. This makes Jinwoo smile and use his power to make his shadows appear. Park believes that this is also his doing. Without further delay, Baruka gives the order for his elves to attack, thus beginning a direct war between both groups. The others decide to flee, as they would only get in the way, but some ice elves try to shoot arrows at them, having been discovered. Hardly, an arrow is shot with Sa-name, when Jinwoo appears before them in an instant, catches them in the air and destroys the elves as if they were nothing. Then, he analyzes his situation, because although his army is invincible, his mana won't last long. Moreover, the boss is more powerful than him, and even fighting together with Igris would be difficult. So he needs something more powerful. At that moment, the two face off and begin exchanging attacks. Although Jinwoo demonstrates great skill in his movements, Baruka remains superior. When they distance themselves, Jinwoo uses his mages to cast a large fireball at Baruka, but he destroys it easily, buying a little time. At that moment, Quinn wakes up and runs towards Jinwoo to attack him, just as Baruka does. What Jinwoo does is use Igris to raise a curtain of snow that blocks Baruka's vision, and right there has Igris kill Kim. Without wasting time, he transforms Kim into one of his shadows, creating a giant tank that repels Baruka. It is at this moment that Jinwoo names him Iron, and after a few brief seconds, he lets out a provocative roar of great power that affects Baruka and makes him focus his attacks on Iron. Iron manages to defend well against Baruka's attacks, despite how powerful they are, which greatly helps Jinwoo use him as a tank. On the other hand, Han asks Park if hunter battles are really like this, to which Park responds that if that were the case, she would never have become a hunter, because this battle is terrifying. Baruka feels dissatisfied with this rival, so he proposes to Jinwoo that they attack the three of them together. Jinwoo accepts the challenge, and with Igris and Iron, they start a fight against him. Despite Baruka being able to give the three of them a hard time, Iron uses his provocative shout again to force Baruka to focus on him. This allows Jinwoo to come from behind and stab him with his dagger, but Baruka manages to prevent the wound from being fatal. When they distance themselves, he warns Jinwoo that underestimating him could be a big mistake. Although Jinwoo acknowledges that he is strong, he cannot say the same about his soldiers. Upon hearing this, Baruka realizes that all his ice elves have been killed, which angers him greatly. Hinobi Yu concludes that if he takes down Jinwoo, all the shadow soldiers will fall. So he goes towards Jinwoo to attack him. What Jinwoo does is throw his dagger, and although Baruka manages to dodge it, he uses his ruler's authority skill, which works like telekinesis, and violently pulls his dagger back to him. Baruka keeps his reflexes sharp and blocks the surprise attack from behind, but the impact destroys his weapon. Without wasting time, Jinwoo orders Iron to hold Baruka tightly so that he is restrained. And then, the mages fire their explosive magic at him. After suffering this attack, Baruka explodes in rage and destroys Iron with his hands, declaring that he will kill everyone. But in a moment of fury, Jinwoo takes the opportunity to reach him, using his invisibility, and stabs him, simply stating that they are done for today. Baruka shouts that this is foolishness, since he is still standing, but in a few seconds, Iron re-emerges, and will crush him violently with his enormous hammer. After that, Jinwoo receives the rewards for having defeated the boss, but notices that Iron starts punching Baruka's body. By stopping him, Jinwoo orders him to control himself, withdrawing a bit exhausted by the way Iram acts. Not knowing exactly what to do, Iram looks at Igris, but he simply avoids him, turning away and leaving. Afterwards, Iram focuses on the shadow mages and starts to celebrate, and they do the same, fearing him greatly. Jinwoo returns to the others to inform them that everything is over and everyone feels very relieved. At this moment, the portal opens and everyone celebrates with joy for having been saved. However, Jinwoo looks at the body of Baruch because he knows that before leaving, he needs to do something important. Here we see Baek, where Sang explains to him that inside the portal approximately a week has already passed. Then, he suggests that Baek can leave, as they will keep him informed about anything that happens. Baek thanks, but refuses to leave. While members of his guild are still inside, he agrees to wait until dawn. Just after saying that, they see people starting to come out of the portal, and Baek is delighted to see that Kim made it. And when he sees Jin coming out alone, he is completely certain that he would come out alive. When the four come out of the portal, it closes, leaving Baek surprised, and he asks Park where the others are, as well as Chul Kim. They apologize with their heads down, and upon looking at them more closely, Baek confirms that only the lower level ones return. Jinwoo tells Han to accompany him and that he will take her home, but Baek stops him by holding his shoulder, saying that there are many questions to ask. Jinwoo tells him that he is very tired and that he can ask whatever he wants to the members of his guild, pushing Baek's hand away. Baek thinks he is an insolent boy for his attitude but decides to make him truly respond, grabbing him with more force. Then, he clarifies that it was not a request, because that day, 6 members of his guild disappeared, and as the person responsible, he needs to ask several questions. Jin partially agrees, but asks him not to forget that he saved the other 2. So the person responsible should be grateful for that, looking at him with a sharp expression. After a few seconds, Baek relaxes and apologizes, acknowledging Jin's point, thanking him for the help. After leaving, Baek asks Park who that guy is, as he is not very sociable. She understands well what he means, and explains that after defeating the boss, Jinwoo's mood changed suddenly. Upon hearing this, Baek tells Sang that he wants this boy working in his guild. Later, Jinwoo arrives at Han's house, who now calls him Jinwoo instead of Song, and thanks him for accompanying her, acting much more friendly than before. When he gets home, he sees that he barely managed to obtain Baruch's dagger as a reward, and doesn't know if this is due to the great difference in attributes, but he used up his 3 attempts to revive him, failing, which was what irritated him the most. As he looks in the mirror, he remembers when he killed Kim, and the frustration begins to build up. He feels the weight of his actions and the consequences of his decisions. Deep down, he knows these choices are inevitable, but he still can't help but question if he really did the right thing. He takes a deep breath and tries to push away the thoughts that bother him. He knew that his goal was more important than any feeling of doubt, and that keeps him focused. Jinwoo prepares for the next steps of his mission, aware that every move he makes now can change the course of everything. He looks at Baruch's dagger and wonders what more he can learn from his victories and defeats. He cannot let his mistakes define him and must use each experience as the lesson to further improve his strength and skills. As he leaves his house, Jinwoo meets with his team, who are ready for the next journey. Each of them has their own goal, but together they are stronger than they ever would be alone. He knows he will need them to face the upcoming challenges. They are his allies. And despite their differences, they know they must unite to achieve their objectives. Sung Jinwoo's journey reaches a boiling point as he ventures into the fiery depths of the demon castle in search of the precious Elixir of Life to save his mother. His hidden power grows to unimaginable levels, attracting unwanted attention and forcing unexpected alliances. Meanwhile, a mysterious hunter emerges from a portal after a decade, carrying apocalyptic secrets and a shocking connection to Jinwoo himself, which is about to be revealed in the most brutal way. Now tired of hiding in the shadows, Jinwoo decides to claim his true power, a choice that will put him in the crosshairs of the largest guilds and the president of the association himself. But the biggest shock may not be his newly revealed strength, but rather a name whispered by a vengeful hunter. A name that connects the dark past to Jinwoo's explosive present. Prepare for a twist that will change everything. After killing Kim the next day, Jinwoo goes with Jin to another portal, but he is completely shocked to see the shadows doing all the work. Because of this, Jinwoo apologizes for not having told him earlier and explains that all those nights are part of one of his abilities, but it's somewhat complex, to provide more details about it. As soon as the shadows finish their task, Iron celebrates with a shout. But Jinwoo, with a snap of his fingers, makes them withdraw in an organized manner to extract the minerals. When this happens, Jinwoo asks to be allowed to do something, as it was the least he could do. And at that exact moment, one of the shadows hands him some crystals so that he can also contribute, which he appreciates. In a change of scene, we see that some hunters in the United States were attacked by an unknown individual inside a portal. This individual explains to the last of them that there is no need to worry, as he only left the others unconscious. This doesn't help much, as he doesn't know English for them to understand him, but what he manages to say is that he is human and wants to return home. Later, Jinwoo enjoys a meal with Dinho, and here they talk about having already completed 19 missions. Dinho thanks him for his help, as it wouldn't have been possible without him. Additionally, he shares his future plans. First, he will take the written exam at the association. Then he will use it as a bargaining chip to negotiate with his father. Then he asks what he will do, to which Dinho responds that he might not be able to contact him for a while, as he needs to go somewhere. As soon as he hears this, and being a little drunk, Dinho makes it clear that if he considers him a nuisance, he can simply say, "so," and he will respect it. He has a brother 10 years older, but he doesn't like him, and they never spent time together as brothers. On the other hand, he saved his life and fulfilled his request, and that's why he wishes he were truly his brother. A few seconds of silence pass, and as soon as Jinwoo pours him a little more beer, he lets him know that from now on, he is his younger brother. This makes Jinwoo immensely happy, to the point of suddenly acting overly kind. Returning to the unknown individual who appeared in the United States, he has now been detained by the country's organization. The officials comment that he has not yet been identified, but the individual claimed to be a foreign hunter. Furthermore, he says he was trapped in a portal for 10 years and couldn't get out. Then he found the portal that leads to the United States. Another point to consider is that he does not speak English very well, so an interrogation assisted by an interpreter is pending, but it cannot be ruled out that he might be a humanoid beast. As for what they intend to do with him, they have requested the help of a rank hunter in Washington, Hwang Dong-Soo. So, will they be able to proceed with the investigation as soon as he returns to the country? Lastly, this unknown individual said that his name is Sunan Hwan. The next morning, Jinwoo prepares for his trip and informs his sister that he will be away for a week. Jin, upon learning that he is leaving after work, simply assumes it's with a girl, so she wants to know more about this girlfriend he has. Our protagonist in turn ignores her accusations, clarifies that he is going out with a friend, and then leaves. Later, he arrives at the entrance of the infernal castle, recalling that when he fought against Cerberus, his level was around 20, but now it has tripled. Without further ado, he takes the key to open the large gate, thus accessing a special portal that leads him to the infernal castle. As he advances through the corridor, a message appears with the mission information. It states that the infernal castle is filled with demons, and he must collect the souls of these beings, with the requirement being to gather 10,000 of them. This catches him by surprise, but he knows well that he came here for another purpose, which is the Elixir of Life. For this reason, it doesn't matter whether it's 10,000 or 100,000 souls. He will obtain each and every one of them, immediately drawing his dagger as he faces some demons to eliminate. Now we are with Jinwoo, who is having a private meeting with his father, where he asks to be given the guild after showing his resume and stating that he is prepared. His father finds it strange as he knows the proposal he made to his brother, but Jin considers what he plans to do very risky, referring to choosing a stranger to make him the guild master. At that moment, his father mentions the name Sung Jin and says that he is aware of the double dungeon incident, the annihilation of Hwang Dong-Soo's team, and the murder of prisoners by the supervision department. Jinwoo was involved in these 3 incidents and came out unscathed, and also participated in all the missions he organized. Furthermore, he heard that it was him who saved the hunters in the red portal. But not only that, the White Tiger Guild plans to recruit him. After mentioning all this, he agrees to hand over the guild with one condition, that he recruits Jinwoo to be in the guild with them, something that Jin agrees to do. After spending a good amount of time eliminating demons, Jinwoo receives an access permit for the upper floors. At this moment, he checks that to use this permit, he needs to go to the portal on the first floor, which will take him to the second floor. As he advances, he sees that this dungeon is enormous, and it seems like they put an entire city inside a building to be able to advance more quickly. What he does is summon one of the ice bears, which was precisely their leader. By riding it, he makes it clear a path through the demons at great speed, and due to its strength, he decides to name it Tan. My friend isn't very creative with names actually. Now we are with Chan, who is enjoying a pool in a private gym, something that other hunters find unusual because she doesn't usually frequent these places. There she recalls a conversation she had with the guild leader, Choi, whom she asked why he didn't make public the information about the ants with wings, and he responds that it's by order of the association, as they say revealing this now would only cause panic, but that she shouldn't worry about it, since now is the time to gather strength. This way, they will be able to progress and fulfill the duty they have as the largest national guild. Returning to Jinwoo, as he advances, he thinks that when he obtained the key, he was afraid it might be an S-rank dungeon. At the moment, these demons are little more than rank B. There are many of them, and they get stronger as he ascends the floors. But by focusing on eliminating the one who has the permission for each floor, he sped up the journey he has to make. Although, if the demon castle mimics the structure of the original tower, he will reach up to the 100th floor, so he doesn't know how strong they will be when he gets there. He also doesn't know if he will have enough food. Also remembering the promise he made to Dina, which means this is a race against time. That's why he keeps defeating more and more monsters, climbing the floors at great speed, which causes the number of soul collections to grow at an accelerated pace. Once he completes this requirement, he reaches the point that will take him from the 49th floor to the 50th. And here he is greeted by a legion of demonic knights with a huge boss behind them. Without wasting time, he summons his shadows to be prepared, and soon confirms that the name of this demon is Red Vulcan, the Greedy, the Lord of the lower floors. On the other hand, Han and Park visit Jinwoo's apartment, but they see that only his sister is there. It's been days since any incursion has been recorded, but it doesn't seem like he has gone abroad, and the last time the association located him was in the city. She quickly asks how he knows all this, and Han responds that it's his job, having an interest in where he might be at this moment. Returning to the great battle approaching for Jinwoo, he orders his men to take care of the other demons, as he will fight the boss alone. Soon after, his men advance to attack while he stays behind. As his intelligence has increased, he can control more soldiers, which makes the battles easier. But when he focuses his attention on the boss, who hasn't moved from his spot, in the blink of an eye, it disappears, already in front of his shadows, to deliver a powerful blow with his mace. In response to this, Jinwoo reaches him at great speed to meet him with a charged punch, something that sends him flying a great distance. He didn't expect this at all, and assumes it's thanks to the increase in strength. But as soon as the boss Vulcan regains his composure, he lets out a bone-chilling scream that significantly boosts his stats, similar to what Cerberus did. Then, they start rushing towards Jinwoo with great urgency, who quickly asks Iron for his large shield, thus managing to block the tremendous blow he delivers. But from then on, Vulcan unleashes a relentless barrage of blows. As soon as Jinwoo finds an opening between his attacks, he throws the shield on his arm to stop him and flank him in order to counterattack. What he didn't expect was that Vulcan would react with incredible speed, allowing him to surprise Jinwoo with an instantaneous attack. In that split second, the ruler's hand skill levels up, and acting accordingly. Jinwoo uses it to deflect the trajectory of the mace and thus manage to dodge. Once safe, he realizes that Vulcan was able to predict what he was going to do. Then he rethinks the strategy he should use to defeat him. As soon as he dodges one of his attacks, what he does is run in one direction, but Vulcan charges towards him like an unstoppable machine. What Jinwoo plans to do is restrict his movements, and he gets an idea when he sees a collapsed building further ahead. When he reaches it, he manages to evade Vulcan so that he collides with the building, and when Vulcan recovers from the impact, he draws another of his daggers to attack him from above, by surprise. This allows him to successfully cut his neck, which is enough to defeat him. As a reward for this, he receives the World Tree Fragment, which is one of the items he needs. We drastically change locations to see Dong-Soo finally interrogating Sung, acting with some aggression due to being in a bad mood, especially because Sung is not answering his questions. Suddenly, Sung asks how much humanity knows about portals and monsters, as these things are just the tip of the iceberg. This has awakened a power that can resurrect cataclysms, the worst possible calamity, but he cannot say more. Dong-Soo, not understanding anything he says, then asks what his point is, to which Sung responds that his goal is to eliminate this calamity, and that their large number of hunters is useless against this power, even if they gather the whole world. Ignoring what he says, Dong-Soo comments that he has the nerve to use a name, despite being a monster, and furthermore, claims to have a wife and 2 children. Upon seeing his record, he raises a malicious smile, and then asks what his son's name is. Sung responds that it is Jinwoo, but immediately senses a bloodlust. For his part, what Dong-Soo does is give him an insignificant piece of news. His son is dead, so if he wants to greet him, he'll have to do it in the afterlife. For his part, Jinwoo continues advancing rapidly by defeating the floor bosses without any problems, and even notices that some of the demons might feel fear, but he doesn't pay attention to it. Suddenly they show us that the entire building where they were interrogating Sung has been demolished. It turns out that in a matter of seconds, Hwang Dong-Soo lost without being able to do anything, which clearly means that Sung escaped. At this point, Jinwoo has reached the 75th floor, and since his food has run out, he decides to stop here. But at least he knows he won't leave empty-handed, as he obtained the giant's earring from the 50th floor and the necklace that the skeleton boss he just defeated gave him. Individually, the items are good, but the set effects, when having them together, are even better. And given the advantage they offer, he deduces that the last missing item of the set comes from another boss. The Sphere of Avarice, which he also obtained, is not bad, although he cannot use it, but fortunately, it can be transferred, and he gives it to the other mages, thus doubling the power of their magic. Additionally, he chose a loot box upon completing the mission, and thought he had missed his chance. But that was not the case. Upon opening it, what he receives is a key, but in the details window he doesn't get any information about it. The only thing it says is that the information will be revealed when the conditions are met. Putting this matter aside, he reviews the plan he has had since entering the demon castle. Vulcano the Miser gave him a fragment of the world tree, and on the 75th floor, Methos, the soul guide, gave him the spring water from the spirit forest. He has 2 of the 3 ingredients he needs for the Elixir of Life, so only one is missing to be able to save his mother. With this in mind, he knows that the next time he returns, he will obtain it without fail. Upon leaving the infernal castle, Jinwoo checks that he has already obtained 2 materials to craft the Elixir of Life. Therefore, now only one is missing, the purified blood of the Demon King. To obtain this, he must be completely prepared and sees it as a positive point that his level has increased significantly after the trip to the Demon Castle. However, officially his level is still rank E, and although he needs to level up, he cannot participate in high-level raid missions if he remains like this. For this reason, he decides to end this charade by proposing to undergo a rank re-evaluation. The next day, he visits the association's headquarters to participate in the re-evaluation. Hun, a member of the White Tiger, was there. As soon as he notices his presence, he makes a call to Baek to inform him that Jinwoo has arrived, and he quickly prepares to go there. Meanwhile, Jinwoo waits a bit until he is called into the examination room. The person in charge indicates that he should place his hands on the black crystal, but at the moment of collecting the data, the system encounters an error. A few seconds later, the director arrives to see what's happening, and she shows him the malfunction that the machine has. But when the director repeats the process and sees for himself, he is quite surprised because it is not a mechanical failure after all, but rather that this reading indicates an inability to evaluate. In other words, Jinwoo's magical power, exceeded the machine's limit, and this serves as proof that the 10th has finally appeared in this country. Another Rankus hunter. Around the building, Choi asks Jinwoo about how the investigation on the flying ants is going. He reports that an autopsy has already been conducted, and what they are doing is comparing the internal structures and the residual magical power with previous specimens to estimate the current ones, and this process should take some time to reach a conclusion. After hearing him, Choi brings up the topic of the Red Portal, as he learned that the White Tiger allowed a non-member to participate in the incursion mission and even let him defeat the dungeon boss. That's why he is curious about who this person is, but Jinwoo clarifies that he doesn't know the details, as he wasn't present that day. At that moment, they can hear a commotion inside the building thanks to their enhanced hearing, and Choi decides to go see what's happening as he is interested. This is where Jinwoo is at the entrance and a scandal forms around him as the news that he is a rank S hunter quickly spread. The director indicates that it will take a little time to handle the identification with his new rank, so in the meantime he has to wait. A few seconds later, Choi enters along with Ginkgo, and everyone present immediately recognizes him, as he is the head of the Hunters Guild. Jinwoo recognizes Choi right away, as he is quite aware of the titles he holds and his status. But although he introduces himself cordially to speak with him, Jinwoo walks past while clarifying that he is in a hurry, and has to go. This leaves Choi quite surprised, but he doesn't take it the wrong way. He soon realizes that Jinwoo disappeared without a trace, and Jinwoo believes he must be the assassin type. At that moment, Baek arrives wanting to look for him, and Choi confirms how special Jinwoo is thanks to his unexpected arrival, in addition to being an individual who overcame the Red Portal. On the other hand, as soon as Baek sees that he is here, he immediately understands that he has discovered what Jinwoo is. Later that night, Jinwoo visits his mother in the hospital, and upon leaving, Jinwoo visits him by surprise. There, he says that Jinwoo made him realize how blind he was, as he could never discover his potential. The task of the surveillance division to which he belongs is to monitor hunters, as well as to punish those who break the law. But he clarifies that they are not watching him as a criminal. And although the surveillance division is the only one that controls the hunters, this does not apply to rank S hunters, as they are powerless against such a level. Out of nowhere, the president of the Hunters Association himself arrives, introducing himself as Go-Gun I. After that, they head to a place to talk privately, where Go informs him that the re-evaluation is completely useless, as by the time he receives this result, they are already leading rank S. And the reason they take a break to formalize and announce it is because it is a grace period. This way, they can ensure the opportunity to first meet such unique talents like him. And although the cost of the Hunter Association is enormous, there are few hunters, as they generally prefer guilds to gain status and money. He then asks him to join the association, being willing to offer him the most important position within it. Jinwoo is surprised by such a proposal and asks why he is doing this. Go explains to him that it is not the government that sustains the country now, but rather the hunters, and they are distributed among 5 main guilds. There are 5 dragons that maintain a delicate balance, but if he decides to join them, this balance will be broken. The association should be a 6th power in the country that can control the rest, and he assures him that he has the power to make this a reality. Jin reflects well on this, as he thinks it's not a bad deal since it ensures him future promotions. Besides the government and the media, President Go must have influence everywhere, and is an astounding hunter who was the first rank ES in the country. Thus, he has great magical power, and a physique that does not show his 80 years. Even at his age, he is on the same level as him after having leveled up, so if he accepted his proposal, it would change his life. Even so, he decides to refuse his offer, because he wants to fight, that is, fight against the monsters, as he believes his place is in the dungeons. Go is surprised to hear him, and notices that his eyes do not show deceit, which moves him in front of someone like that. What he does is accept Jinwoo's response, who, after apologizing, ends up leaving to go home. On the way, he reminds himself that he has to keep leveling up to be able to heal his mother, and it's something he cannot stop, as he has the ability to keep growing. On a new day, Dong-Soo finally wakes up after the beating he received, and is greeted by the deputy director, who directly asks him if Sung is really a monster. This makes Dong-Soo recall some of the things he saw about him, and he doesn't hesitate to respond that he has nothing human about him. After hearing him, the deputy director asks him to focus on recovering, and to go to administration when he is discharged. And what about Sung? They are still looking for him, but he doesn't believe at all that they can capture someone who was able to defeat him. Alone, Dong-Soo begins to boil with anger, clearly remembering the threat Sung made to him about never approaching his family again. He considers this one of the most humiliating defeats, but he refuses to accept this outcome. And since he knows where Sung is headed, he plans to obtain an artifact to crush him alive. Returning to Jinwoo, he was precisely thinking about these objects. The artifacts could be considered artificial relics, but for hunters, they are high-level equipment that only the best craftsmen prepare. Now that there are more hunters, there are plenty of them in online auctions, but he complains about why they are so expensive when checking their prices. He wants to take the perfect equipment to the Demon King's castle, but he doesn't see anything convincing in the store. And since the Sphere of Avarice is transferable, he sees it as an option to sell it in order to get money. The enhancement rates of the best equipment range from 20% to 30%, and this sphere has the power to double magical damage, so it should be quite valuable. The problem is that it belongs to someone of rank E, so they will probably investigate its origin. If it had been registered in an A rank portal, there would be an excuse, but being of rank E, it's impossible. By doing a little research on the web, he finds an ad looking for people to mine in high-level portals. Now we are with Go, who examines Jinwoo's information in detail, and finds the appearance of his ID strange, as it looks like a young man in the photograph. Then he asks if he tampered with his rank. Jinchu indicates that Jinwoo suffered several lethal injuries, so he doesn't believe that's the case. As for his mother, she suffers from eternal sleep, and he is dedicated to paying for his sister's education, which makes him the financial pillar of the family. Additionally, there is information that he recently joined the Hunters Guild raid, but he is in the mining group. Returning to Jin, he now presents himself to his superior to work in the mining group, and is received without any issues. Despite being rank E, he knows that in high-level dungeon raids, tasks need to be divided. The attack group eliminates the monsters, the mining group extracts the mana mineral, the collection group, well, gathers the monster corpses, and although this requires people, it ends up being quite profitable. While thinking about this, Choi finds himself inside the rank A portal, and doesn't hesitate to use his powerful fire magic. to sweep away the large monsters in front of him. Strategically, he has the tank-type hunters focus on defense, advancing with ease thanks to their abilities. At this moment, he suggests to Hai to be careful with the smell, as he knows she has a nose sensitive to certain aromas. After a while, Jinwoo sees him coming out along with the others from the portal, having managed to defeat all the monsters except the boss with ease. This catches him a bit by surprise, as they all came out unscathed. Despite it being a rank A portal, which confirms to him that Choi's power is genuine. He also closely observes the second in command of the Hunters Guild, and the 9th S-rank hunter in the country, Cha Hae-In, the ballerina. Jinwoo opines that she is someone overwhelming, and even wonders how many people in the world have the same aura that she possesses. For a moment, Choi feels a very powerful presence coming from a direction, as if it were coming from President Go, but he believes it's his imagination since he can't find anything. Jinwoo remains hidden and notices that she is more perceptive than he expected, as it was not far from her being able to identify him among the crowd. After that, he enters with the mining and gathering group to work, and already being in the portal, he confirms the peculiarities of it being an A-rank portal. As for the boss, he supposes it must be superior to Vulcan in castle methods, having an interest in seeing it for himself. At that moment, he is underestimated for being simply an E-rank, but one of the miners shuts up when he receives his sharp gaze. When he starts working, Jinwoo demonstrates great strength and endurance in extracting the minerals. This allows him, when break time comes, to convince his superior to let him continue mining. He does this with the intention of taking advantage of the fact that no one is supervising him, so he can use this time to go see the boss. But when he finally reaches the entrance and draws his dagger to be prepared, out of nowhere Choi appears, questioning or wanting to know what he is doing there. The presence of Cha Hae-In emerges unexpectedly at the most inopportune moment. Jinwoo, trying to go unnoticed while exploring the limits of the rank A portal, finds himself face to face with one of the most powerful and perceptive hunters in the country. Will his rank E disguise finally be exposed? How will he react to this sudden appearance? The confrontation is inevitable. What do you think will happen? Leave your theory in the comments below. If you're enjoying Jinwoo's power climb and mysteries, don't forget to like and share this video with your friends. And of course, stay tuned for the next video, where we will discover the consequences of this explosive encounter and continue to unravel the secrets surrounding our shadowy hunter. You won't want to miss it. Get ready to dive into a whirlwind of secrets and dangers in solo leveling. Sung Jinwoo, still operating in the shadows as a low-ranking hunter, finds himself in increasingly risky situations. An unexpected encounter with the perceptive Cha Hae-In raises suspicions about his true identity, Yai's, while a seemingly simple support mission turns into a deadly trap orchestrated by a cunning enemy. Witness Jinwoo being forced to intervene, revealing glimpses of his overwhelming power to save his companions. But the biggest twist might not be the battle itself, but rather Cha Hae-In's keen perception, and a peculiar detail about Jinwoo that leaves her obsessed, a detail that could expose his entire disguise. Jinwoo, upon finally reaching the boss's antechamber, draws his dagger, preparing himself, when Che suddenly appears behind him, asking what he was doing there. Jinwoo, in turn, tries to cover up, saying that he got lost. Not very convinced by his answer, Che warns him that he is in the boss's room, asking him to leave. Jinwoo realizes that he had underestimated her, confirming that Che's reputation is well deserved, as he only noticed her presence when she spoke to him. Jinwoo discreetly puts away the dagger, making Che think that she might have imagined things, wondering if he wasn't holding a weapon moments before. Meanwhile, Jinwoo apologizes to her, and Che repeats that he must leave, warning about the serious consequences of waking the boss, an order that Jinwoo accepts. However, as he walks towards the exit, Che, surprised, asks him to wait. Approaching him quickly, she makes him tense. Che sniffs him, and comments to herself that he doesn't have a bad smell, asking Jinwoo if he is really a hunter. Jinwoo confirms, but she checks his ID card to verify the information. After the verification, she advises him to be very careful when leaving, and Jinwoo agrees. As he walks away, Che thinks about the absence of an unpleasant smell on him. She supposes that maybe it's because of his low rank. Unlike the other hunters, he has a surprisingly pleasant smell. Meanwhile, Jinwoo joins the other miners. They congratulate him on the encounter with Che, as they can only observe her from a distance. They also comment that she uses her lunch break to patrol and protect them from the dungeon boss. He discovers right there that Che has a special sensitivity, which is why she covers her nose. She can no longer stand the smell of the other hunters. This discovery surprises Jinwoo. He remembers that the boss of the Red Portal said something similar, leading him to wonder if there might be some connection to the help he receives from the system. Upon finishing the work, Jinwoo receives his payment and also compliments from the mining boss for completing the task, ahead of the expected time. He offers him to continue helping. Jinwoo thanks him, but declines the offer, stating it was a one-time help. Even so, the boss insists that he stay for another day. And upon being informed of the details about 2 simultaneous raids in ranks A and C the next day, Jinwoo accepts. During the night, Che tries to gather information about Jinwoo, and is perplexed to discover that his data is confidential, blocked by the association, despite him not having a high rank. After hanging up, Che has trouble sleeping, disturbed by the doubts that Jinwoo raises, and the feeling that something strange is happening, in addition to him being the first hunter she has met with a pleasant scent. The next morning, Jinwoo arrives at the meeting point for the raid. While being warmly welcomed by everyone, he recalls with some nostalgia his first expeditions. Just like the previous day, Jinwoo once again impresses his colleagues with his way of working, allowing them to finish the task earlier. During lunch, the mining chief insists again that he work on his team, offering to pay 5 times more. At that moment, Captain Kim Sang-shik appears to everyone's surprise. He then asks the head of the miners if he could borrow someone, since the person in charge of transporting the equipment didn't show up, and the collection team was also short-staffed. Noticing the mining chief's hesitation, Kim Sang-shik addresses everyone, informing them that anyone willing to help would be well rewarded. However, no one volunteers even with the reward, as being of low rank. They feel they cannot protect themselves from the dangers, and the payment is not worth the risk to their lives. In light of this, the mining chief comments that this cannot be solved with money alone. Seizing the opportunity, Jinwoo volunteers, causing general astonishment. His companions, however, try to convince Kim Sang-shik not to accept him, commenting that he started yesterday and therefore would not understand the consequences of the decision. Kim Sang-shik, aware of his experience, says there's no problem and introduces himself to Jinwoo as the leader of that day's incursion, and Jinwoo introduces himself as well. In front of the portal, Jinwoo observes that it is much larger than the one from the previous day, yet it releases less magical power. Kim Sang-shik explains that they are the secondary team and therefore would not be sent to a very risky dungeon. Once inside, Jinwoo experiences the same sensation he had when entering the red portal, which makes him nervous. The team's mage notices his unease and reassures him, ensuring that the team members are strong and that nothing will happen to them if he stays close to them. As they walk, Kim Sang-shik thinks that on the way back he would be officially promoted to captain, but his thoughts are interrupted by a strange sensation that overtakes the group, making them prepare to fight, which makes Jinwoo curious, as the leader had not yet given the order. At that moment, dungeon jackals begin to emerge, and with great coordination and ease, the team eliminates them one by one. However, the leader is surprised, wondering why they are appearing in an A-rank dungeon. When Jinwoo asks, the mage replies that they usually appear in C-rank dungeons. Jinwoo crouches down to look at the bodies and notices that they have collars. Soon after, a group of red orcs appears, intent on wiping out the team, launching the first attack, which is defended by Kim Sang-shik. Seeing his power, the group's tank tries to provoke the orcs, but the skill doesn't work, and he warns everyone to be careful. The orcs then attack the team's backline, which manages to withstand the first impact. The members start to defend themselves individually. But the large number of orcs causes difficulties, and the healer can't help everyone. Kim Sang-shik realizes that the B-rank hunters aren't strong enough for these orcs. He tries to organize them into trios, but at that exact moment a hunter loses an arm. Luckily there was a healer with them. In a short time, the team is overwhelmed by the orcs. At the critical moment when one of the hunters is about to be killed, Jinwoo enters the fight using his stealth ability, along with the ruler's hand, managing to eliminate the aggressive orc, while Jinwoo continues to weaken the orcs without being seen, creating an advantage for his team. One of the mages observes him. He, however, does not stop, as he is unable to watch someone die without doing anything. The raid team continued advancing with regained confidence as they eliminated the orcs, without understanding why they suddenly seemed weaker. The important thing, however, was to complete the mission without further losses. Of course, one of them was left with a lifelong trauma, but that was collateral damage. The mage, who noticed Jinwoo's stealth, preferred to remain silent. She thought he must have his reasons for not revealing his actions, and more importantly, acknowledged that thanks to him, they were still alive. Later, one of the members asked the leader if they should continue, since the place was dangerous and they would need reinforcements. At least 5 more people, 2 healers and 3 mages. Noticing the leader's doubt in his first time as a commander, they say they understand how he feels, but perhaps retreating would be the best option. Kim Sang-chik remains indecisive until Jinwoo intervenes, saying that giving up is not easy and everyone wants to conquer dungeons. But a smart leader knows when to retreat. Finally, Kim Sang-chik makes his decision and informs everyone that they will withdraw. Upon reaching the exit, they realize it is blocked by a barrier and wonder who would have the power to control such strong magic. Even so, the team's mage says that with some time, she could remove the blockage. At that moment, they feel a great magical power, which prompts the mages to hurry to break the barrier. But suddenly, they are affected by a curse. While Jinwoo wonders why this great magical power isn't felt from the outside, as he calls the healer to help the mages, he sees a large number of orcs, surprising everyone. Kim Sang-chik approaches them, and the leader of the orcs introduces himself as Kargalgan, confirming that he was the one who blocked the entrance, as he is the great sorcerer of the orc tribe. Kim Sang-chik realizes that it is not the orc soldier who is speaking, but rather the dungeon boss, using the soldier's body. He tells them that he is eager to meet them, so they have 2 options: go with the soldiers to see him, or face his orcs. Kim Sang-chik asks Jinwoo to take the opportunity to exit the portal when they go to see the boss. His plan is to distract him so that Jinwoo can escape at a moment of weakness. The mage takes the opportunity to ask him to deliver a message to her family, a testament with her last wishes, since he is not obliged to stay, unlike them, who were trained to die. This situation makes Jinwoo remember the double dungeon when his companions abandoned him. He then confirms that he will do what she asked, although he hopes it won't be necessary. Outside the portal, the hunter Chai is looking for Jinwoo. The mining chief informs her that he is inside the portal, which leaves her astonished. Chai finds it strange that Jinwoo entered as a porter in the rank A portal, given that he is supposedly rank E. Moreover, she seems to remember seeing him with a weapon near the boss's room before, and this fuels her suspicions. Therefore, she informs the mining chief that she is going to enter and grabs a pickaxe, the only available tool she could use as a weapon. In the meantime, Jinwoo and the other hunters arrive at the large boss room. They observe the enormous number of high orcs around and know that if they were to come out, they could easily destroy 1 or 2 cities, especially the 4 in front of the boss, whose aura is far superior to the others. The boss decides to speak with them. Although the team leader's initial intention was to defeat him to prevent a catastrophe, everyone feels the effects of the boss's overwhelming magical presence. He explains that he brought them there for fun, and plans to torture, kill, and devour each one of them. Kim Sang-chik strongly rejects these intentions and gives the signal for his group to attack, but fear prevents his companions from moving. Even so, Kim Sang-chik charges alone against the boss, who defends himself with a protective chant, and then uses gravity magic to hurl him against the ceiling and the wall several times. Before delivering the final blow, Jinwoo moves with incredible speed to save him and place him on the ground. Ali comments that he shouldn't interfere, since the dungeon belongs to their guild, but as they are in danger, he asks for permission to defeat everyone there. While waiting for the response, one of the High Orc Guardians tries to attack him. Jinwoo uses the ruler's authority to stop him and violently hurl him against the ceiling. Seconds later, Kim Sang-chik gives permission to Jinwoo. With the authorization granted, Jinwoo positions himself in front of the boss and summons his shadows. This time, he uses a new skill he learned, which greatly increases the attributes of his shadows within a specific area. At Kargalgan's signal to attack, Jinwoo's shadows fight against the orc horde with Igris, Iron, and Tank, showing clear superiority. Jinwoo also participates in the slaughter, displaying movements that impress the hunters, with their similarity to Chai's. Kargalgan then uses his chance to destroy the shadows, knowing that if he makes Jinwoo expend all his mana, he will be left without his army. Jinwoo focuses on dodging the powerful spells, realizing that the boss forces him to keep his distance with long-range attacks. Meanwhile, Jinwoo and his men arrive at the entrance of the portal. Upon analyzing the level, they confirm it to be a rank A portal close to rank S, indicating an initial evaluation error. Jinwoo asks them to check the situation of the team inside before entering to offer assistance. In the face of Kargalgan's taunts, Jinwoo reveals that he has mana potions, and for greater impact, reanimates the shadows of the fallen high orcs, declaring that the next shadow to be collected will be Kargalgan's own. Seeing this shocks Kargaga, who recognizes something familiar and experiences a momentary error related to the system. However, his main order to kill humans takes control, and he resumes acting as usual, ordering his guardians to attack. Iron and Ingress engage in an intense battle against the Orc Guardians, defeating them thanks to their vastly superior skills. Seeing that they are gradually winning the battle, the hunters try to join the fight as well, but the boss immobilizes them with spells and curses. Next, Kargaga casts a combination of curses on Jinwoo, trying to bring him down, but he shows great resistance to poison and curses. When Kargaga activates his defensive chant, Jinwoo orders his mages to use the artifact that doubles magic, casting a powerful offensive spell that easily breaks Kargaga's shield. At that exact moment, Che arrives at the scene, astonished to see so many summons fighting against the monsters, although she focuses on the injured from her guild. The mage's attack enrages Kargaga, who once again performs a combination of chants, transforming into a giant in seconds. Soon after, he uses the Song of the Fire Dragon, shooting countless rays of flames in all directions. Taking advantage of the enemy's immense size, Jinwoo uses his speed to stab a dagger into its eye, impairing its vision. Then he uses the ruler's authority to grab a large chain that was in the room, and use it to wrap around and topple the giant boss, pulling it down with his extraordinary strength. Jinchu arrives just in time to witness the scene, left speechless, while Jinwoo and his shadows don't miss the chance to finish off the boss, as it returns to its normal size. Che clearly observes Jinwoo's performance, recognizing him as a top-tier hunter. With Kargaga defeated, Jinwoo quickly takes its shadow. Unable to remember the original name, he decides to call it Tusk, and is surprised to see its rank as an elite knight, a classification he had never seen before. Noticing that everyone is approaching him, Jinchu intervenes, asking the hunters to maintain complete secrecy about the incident, as the information about Jinwoo is top secret. Kim Sang-shik tells Jinwoo that he certainly had his reasons for hiding his true rank and acting as a porter, but he sums up his speech with a thank you, because thanks to him, everyone is still alive. Later, Kim Sang-shik discusses the incident with Choi. Choi asks Kim Sang-shik's opinion on who would be stronger between Jinwoo and himself. Kim Sang-shik simply points out that Jinwoo was able to clear an A-rank portal by himself, and Choi admits that he could never do such a thing, acknowledging the huge power difference between them. Motivated by this, both Kim Sang-shik and Choi start to wish to recruit Jinwoo for the Hunters Guild. The next day, a crowd of reporters gathers in front of the Hunters Association, interested in the actor Lee Min-sung, who recently awakened as a hunter. The dust settles in the High Orc's dungeon, but the tension outside only increases. Jinwoo was once again the unlikely hero, adding the powerful Tusk to his shadow army. However, his flawless performance and overwhelming power did not go unnoticed, especially by Cha Hae-In, whose curiosity only grows. With his data blocked and a peculiar scent that intrigues the rank S hunter, how long will Jinwoo be able to keep his secret? And how will the decision to keep everything under wraps affect the future of the guilds and Jinwoo's own safety? Will Cha Hae-In confront Jinwoo directly? How will the guilds react to the growing power of an unknown figure? And most importantly, how long will Jinwoo be able to keep his true identity hidden? We want to know your theory. Comment below what you think will happen next. If you got excited about this epic battle, and the intrigues surrounding Jinwoo, leave your like to support Turbo Nerd. Share with your friends who also love solo leveling, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any details of this incredible journey. In the next video, we will analyze the repercussions of these actions and the new challenges that await Sung Jinwoo. Until then. Segura a respiração, porque o momento chegou. Em solo leveling, o jogo vira de forma espetacular. Chega de se esconder nas sombras. Sung Jinwoo está prestes a ter seu poder oficialmente reconhecido pela Associação de Caçadores. Testemunhe a reavaliação que vai deixar mestres de guildas boquiabertos e quebrar todos os padrões. Enquanto um ator famoso tenta roubar a cena, o verdadeiro protagonista surge, desencadeando uma corrida desesperada das maiores guildas para recrutá-lo. Mas a grande virada não é só o Ranked, é a decisão que um amigo leal tomará, desafiando tudo e todos para ficar ao lado do nosso monarca. Prepare-se para o capítulo que muda tudo. E aí a gente vê o Baek e o Sr. Choi chegando na Associação de Caçadores, onde a imprensa tá toda alvoroçada com rumores de que eles estão lá para recrutar o tal Lee Min-sung. O Baek, já irritado, solta: quem diabos é esse cara? E o senhor? Choi também deixa claro que eles não estão ali para essa bobagem, embora saiba quem é o Lee Min-sung, explicando que o cara já assinou com a guilda dos ceifadores, e o assunto deles ali não tem nada a ver com isso. Sem nenhuma fofoca quente para perseguir, a imprensa rapidamente perde o interesse e vaza. O Baek então lembra de ter ouvido que o Sr. Choi andou tendo problemas com aquela Dungeon Rank E recente que quase virou Rank S. O Sr. Choi minimiza, dizendo que não foi nada comparado ao que a guilda Tigre Branco sofreu no Portal Vermelho, onde houve baixas reais. Baek até menciona ter ouvido que o Sr. Choi quase implorou por ajuda para ele, mas o Sr. Choi insiste que as coisas acabaram bem graças ao Jinwoo, tanto que agora ele planeja dar uma recepção de gala pro Jinwoo em sua guilda. Baek concorda que o Jinwoo salvou eles também, e os dois começam a discutir sobre quem vai conseguir recrutá-lo. Nesse exato momento, o mestre da guilda dos ceifadores aparece e pergunta se eles estão brigando pelo tal Lee Min-sung. Os dois respondem na lata que não dão a mínima para esse sujeito. E bem nessa hora, Jinwoo chega na associação, totalmente perdido com toda aquela agitação. Enquanto isso, lá na escola da Dina, as garotas estão grudadas nas notícias sobre o Lee Min-sung na Associação de Caçadores. Elas comentam como Min-sung, um ator com a reputação bem manchada, está envolvido num monte de escândalos, com boatos de que ele sai com toda a atriz com quem trabalha. De volta à associação, o próprio Min-sung fala com a imprensa com uma determinação surpreendente. Ele anuncia que decidiu virar caçador, declara que vai se juntar à guilda dos ceifadores sob a liderança do mestre Lin Tae-gil, o que leva a imprensa a perguntar se isso significa que ele vai se aposentar do mundo do entretenimento. Todo mundo fica chocado que ele tomou uma decisão tão drástica sem nem saber o resultado oficial da sua avaliação. Mas com um sorrisinho confiante, Min-sung afirma que já sabe que é um caçador Rank A, e que seu contrato com a guilda dos ceifadores dura só 2 aninhos. Depois disso ele volta para a indústria, e até lá seus escândalos serão só lembranças distantes. Ele finge que está pronto para arriscar a vida lutando contra feras mágicas, não importa qual seja seu rank. Bem nessa hora, enquanto Jinwoo tenta entrar de fininho na associação, os guardas do Min-sung o barram, dizendo que ele não pode entrar até a coletiva acabar. Nisso, Go-Gun-hee entra com tudo e anuncia que Jinwoo é seu convidado, lembrando que tinha pedido especificamente para não fazerem coletiva de imprensa naquela hora. Min-sung fica irritado com a intromissão, mas Go-Gun-hee não tá nem aí e leva Jinwoo para dentro na hora. A imprensa, agora ainda mais curiosa, começa a se perguntar quem é esse misterioso Jinwoo. Enquanto isso, Min-sung tenta forçar a entrada na associação para fazer sua avaliação, mas Woo Jin-choo o intercepta, avisando que ele não pode entrar agora porque outras pessoas estão sendo reavaliadas. Min-sung, furioso, pergunta pro Jin-choo se ele tem noção de com quem tá falando, ameaçando que uma palavra dele poderia custar o emprego do Jin-choo. Mas Jin-choo, claramente sem fazer ideia de quem ele é, manda ele ficar do lado de fora, senão... Aí vemos Go-Gun-hee acompanhando Jinwoo até o local da reavaliação, onde Jinwoo nota que o Sr. Choi e Baek estão presentes para observar seus resultados. Entrando na sala de avaliação, antes de começarem a reavaliar seu poder, os avaliadores perguntam quais habilidades ele usa. Jinwoo demonstra casualmente invocando um único soldado, embora Go-Gun-hee saiba muito bem que isso é só a ponta do iceberg, já que Jin-choo o informou sobre suas verdadeiras capacidades. Decidindo que é hora de mostrar do que ele é capaz de verdade, Jinwoo convoca seu exército inteiro, declarando que pode trazer mais umas centenas de soldados quando quiser. Go-Gun-hee fica visivelmente chocado com essa demonstração, e tanto o Sr. Choi quanto o Baek conseguem sentir a intensidade absurda da magia dele, tão poderosa que os faz pensar se as habilidades dele superam até mesmo o poder deles. Em pouco tempo, o processo de avaliação termina, e Jinwoo recebe uma licença de caçador Rank S. Ele pensa consigo mesmo que com esse novo status, ninguém vai suspeitar se ele vender o orbe da avareza, usando o dinheiro para se equipar direito. Com determinação renovada, ele decide que seu próximo alvo será o castelo demoníaco, e Go-Gun-hee mal pode esperar para ver o que ele vai conseguir fazer. Em seguida, vemos Jinwoo saindo da associação com o Sr. Choi e Baek esperando ansiosamente para falar com ele sobre recrutá-lo, mas ele simplesmente passa direto por eles, insistindo que tem outros assuntos urgentes para resolver. Assim que ele abre a porta da associação, é emboscado por flashes de câmeras, a mídia tirando fotos dele sem parar. Kim Sang-shik, surpreso ao ver o rosto dele nas notícias, mostra as fotos para Dina, que fica igualmente chocada ao descobrir que seu irmão se tornou um caçador Rank S. Todos os conhecidos de Jinwoo ficam sabendo da notícia. Alguns não acreditam no que veem, enquanto outros já suspeitavam há tempos que era só questão de tempo. De volta à associação, a mídia mudou o foco do Min-sung e agora está bombardeando Jinwoo com perguntas. Enquanto isso, e o Jinwoo confidencia ao pai que não conseguiu convencer Jinwoo a se juntar à guilda dele. Ele lembra que Jinwoo rejeitou categoricamente sua oferta, insistindo que tem uma missão pessoal para completar sozinho. Jinwoo explicou que se juntar a qualquer organização agora só atrasaria seu progresso. Ele precisa ficar mais forte por conta própria e então pediu para Jinwoo ir com ele. Voltando ao presente, Jinwoo implora ao pai para deixá-lo seguir Jinwoo. Em resposta, seu pai dá uma bronca nele pelo que considera uma decisão extremamente egoísta. Ele lembra a Jinwoo que tinha originalmente confiado esse projeto ao próprio irmão dele, irmão do pai, só para mudar de planos por insistência de Jinwoo. E agora Jinwoo parece querer abandonar tudo sem ter conquistado nada. Ele desafia Jinwoo perguntando se ele acha isso justo, o que faz Jinwoo lembrar de suas experiências com Jinwoo e decidir com determinação que precisa ir com Jinwoo de qualquer jeito. Ao mesmo tempo, funcionários da associação estão ocupados mantendo a imprensa afastada, impedindo que eles cerquem Jinwoo. Baek oferece levar Jinwoo para casa, argumentando que lidar com a mídia seria muito cansativo, mas Jinwoo insiste que não precisa. Com uma velocidade impressionante, ele escapa dos repórteres enquanto cobre o rosto. O Sr. Choi fica chocado com o quão fisicamente forte Jinwoo se tornou, apesar de sua base mágica, e Baek mal consegue acompanhar seus movimentos com os próprios olhos. Então ele se pergunta se Jinwoo ficou ainda mais poderoso desde a última vez que o viram. E o próprio Jinwoo pensa que tudo o que resta agora é conseguir o equipamento certo. Mais tarde vemos Jinwoo numa casa de leilões, ou loja especializada, onde ele diz a um funcionário que está procurando um item projetado para proteção contra ataques de fogo. Quando o atendente pergunta sobre o uso pretendido, Jinwoo explica que precisa de algo para aguentar o calor intenso dentro de uma dungeon. Ele mostra uma capa e alguns anéis, notando que embora tenham um preço razoável, o custo ainda está um pouco salgado para ele. Ele se pergunta se um desconto seria possível, mas o funcionário informa que os preços são fixos. No entanto, eles acrescentam que se ele conseguir quebrar o vidro que protege o equipamento, pode levar de graça. Jinwoo fica surpreso com o comentário do funcionário e se prepara para quebrar o vidro. Bem quando ele está prestes a dar um soco, o funcionário intervém, explicando que só estava brincando e que mesmo uma leve vibração acionaria um alarme devido à força incrível do vidro. Ele pede desculpas por ter exagerado na brincadeira, deixando Jinwoo meio sem graça. Frustrado, Jinwoo diz ao funcionário que prefere ver umas armas de verdade então. O especialista em armas então o leva para mostrar uma seleção de espadas curtas, adagas. Enquanto caminham, o especialista em armaduras percebe que Jinwoo de alguma forma conseguiu trincar o vidro, mesmo sem nem ter encostado nele. Enquanto isso, uma espada curta particularmente robusta é apresentada a Jinwoo, e ele mal pode acreditar no preço absurdo, especialmente porque sua força mal se compara, na melhor das hipóteses, à presa venenosa de casaca. Em resposta, Jinwoo saca a adaga de casaca que comprou recentemente em sua loja pessoal e pergunta ao funcionário quanto ela valeria no mercado. Eles dizem confiantemente que poderia ser vendida por cerca de 100 milhões de ouro, um valor que o choca, dado que ele pagou originalmente apenas 2,8 milhões. Essa revelação convence Jinwoo que os itens comprados na loja são super valiosos, e ele começa a pensar que talvez não precise vender o orbe da avareza afinal. Dando uma pausa, Jinwoo vai ao banheiro, e a cena muda para a sede da Guilda Tigre Branco. Lá, Baek reflete sobre a força imensa de Jinwoo, ponderando como seu segundo despertar pode ter terminado há muito tempo. No entanto, ele continua a ficar mais forte. Baek se pergunta se ele tem abordado as coisas da maneira errada e começa a considerar que talvez Jinwoo seja um caçador que pode continuar ficando mais forte indefinidamente. A narrativa então corta para a casa de Jinwoo, onde Dina percebe que a mídia finalmente parou de incomodar a casa deles, um evento que a alegra porque significa que ela pode voltar para a escola em paz. Jinwoo especula que a associação deve ter intervindo para garantir a privacidade deles. Provocando, Dina sugere que ele poderia estar na TV se quisesse, mas implora para ele não arrastar para isso. Jinwoo dá de ombros, admitindo que está fora de seu controle, e então anuncia que ficará fora por uma semana a partir de amanhã. Uma revelação que deixa Dina surpresa e curiosa sobre seus planos. Nesse momento, Jinwoo aparece na porta. Quando Dina pergunta se ele é um dos amigos de Jinwoo, Jinwoo esclarece que na verdade é o braço direito de Jinwoo. Jinwoo rapidamente oferece uma explicação, dizendo a Dina que estará trabalhando com Jinwoo na próxima semana, embora Jinwoo pareça um pouco confuso no início. Um leve toque de Jinwoo o ajuda a entender, e ele prontamente concorda em entrar na brincadeira. À noite, encontramos Jinwoo dormindo profundamente no quarto de Jinwoo, enquanto Jinwoo verifica silenciosamente Dina, pensando que talvez as coisas finalmente tenham se acalmado, embora agora todos saibam que ele é um caçador rank S, então ele precisa ser extra cauteloso. Para garantir a segurança, ele invoca os guardas de tanque de antes, mas rapidamente nota que apenas 3 estão ali, lembrando que tanque originalmente tinha 4. Um dos guardas o lembra que o quarto foi arremessado contra o teto por um dos ataques anteriores de Jinwoo. e sua extração de sombra não conseguiu recuperá-lo. Jinwoo dá de ombros, decidindo que 3 guardas são suficientes. Ele então deixa um deles junto com 2 guardas comuns para vigiar Jina. Então, enquanto está no telhado, Jinwoo reflete sobre a necessidade de reforçar a segurança do bairro e ordena que alguns de seus soldados patrulhem a área, garantindo que permaneça pacífica. Acima, vemos então uma majestosa fera mágica voadora cruzar o céu. No dia seguinte, Jinwoo e Jinwoo são vistos dirigindo juntos. Jinwoo agradece a Jinwoo por deixá-lo passar a noite e Jinwoo o tranquiliza dizendo que não precisa se preocupar com ele fugindo de casa. Jinwoo então pergunta sobre os negócios de Jinwoo na Torre de S, ou Castelo Demoníaco. Jinwoo revela que está programado para treinar por uma semana inteira lá. Para a grande surpresa de Jinwoo, afinal ele já é um caçador Rank S. Jinwoo simplesmente responde que ainda acredita na busca por maior força, um sentimento que não surpreende tanto Jinwoo assim. Mais tarde, dentro da imponente torre demoníaca, Jinwoo, adornado com seu anel à base de água e manto de vento, embarca em sua mais recente conquista. Ele recebe uma missão para matar o monarca demônio Baran, que reside no último andar, com uma recompensa prometendo uma pedra rúnica para pura habilidade e troca de sombras, mais 30 pontos de habilidade. Animado pelo desafio e pelas recompensas oferecidas, ele se teleporta para o 76º andar. Em outra cena, a mãe de Jinwoo é vista conversando com o pai dele, espantada por seu filho ter saído de casa. Enquanto o pai parece indiferente, ele de repente desmaia. De volta ao castelo demoníaco, Jinwoo está travado em combate com um formidável monstro chefão. No calor da batalha, ele invoca Tusk e entrega a ele o Orbe da Avareza. Tusk responde liberando um poderoso feitiço de fogo que reduz o monstro a cinzas. Impressionado com a demonstração, Jinwoo resolve pensar com cuidado quando usar as habilidades de Tusk no futuro. Mais tarde, vemos o pai de Jinwoo acordado no hospital, sabendo que Jinwoo veio visitá-lo. Sua esposa confessa que mentiu para Jinwoo sobre o colapso ser devido ao excesso de trabalho, e eles lembram da explicação sombria do médico. Ele contraiu a chamada doença do sono eterno, uma condição onde a pessoa é dominada pelo sono até eventualmente cair num sono sem fim. O pai de Jinwoo ficava se perguntando por que tinha contraído essa doença horrível, e o médico explicou que pessoas com baixa resistência à mana são especialmente propensas a ela se forem expostas por muito tempo. O médico até perguntou se algum de seus amigos ou parentes eram caçadores, o que fez tanto ele quanto sua esposa pensarem em seu próprio filho, Jinwoo, mas o médico admitiu que a causa exata ainda não era confirmada. Frustrado, o pai de Jinwoo então começou a se perguntar se talvez tivesse sido completamente eliminado por esse mundo cruel. Enquanto isso, na fronteira do país, um esquadrão de caçadores estava patrulhando a área quando encontraram aquela fera mágica voadora que vimos antes. Eles pararam, todos coçando a cabeça e se perguntando que diabos era aquilo. De volta ao castelo demoníaco, Jinwoo subiu de nível após suas batalhas recentes. Ele explica que reorganizou seus soldados em 6 equipes separadas, cada uma operando por conta própria com 2 ordens simples. Primeiro, eliminar todos os inimigos visíveis, e segundo, avisá-lo assim que encontrarem a permissão. Ele admite que essa estratégia significa que não vai conseguir pegar nenhum loot além da permissão, mas é um plano mais eficiente no geral. No entanto, seu progresso diminuiu consideravelmente assim que atingiu o 80º andar. Enquanto pondera o que pode estar causando o atraso, ele de repente percebe uma queda drástica no seu MP. Acontece que alguém tem continuamente eliminado seus soldados, visando especificamente sua equipe A. Jinwoo fica chocado que um inimigo aqui possa derrotar uma equipe de seus orcs de alto nível. Então ele chama sua equipe de volta e sai pessoalmente para investigar. Chegando ao local, ele descobre que a equipe B também foi atingida e conclui que o inimigo deve ser bem forte mesmo. Mas algo não faz sentido. Ele aponta que a equipe de Tusk estava muito mais perto da equipe A. No entanto, o inimigo escolheu atacar a equipe B, mais distante. Cai a ficha de que esse adversário devia saber que Tusk era poderoso demais para enfrentar e, por isso, escolheu deliberadamente oponentes mais fracos. Jinwoo então deduz que o próximo alvo provavelmente será o esquadrão dos ursos de gelo, e com certeza, ele logo avista alguns cavaleiros demônios atacando os ursos de gelo. Os cavaleiros demônios destroem os ursos como se não fossem nada, e Jinwoo observa em modo furtivo. Satisfeito com seu desempenho, ele desativa a furtividade. Um dos cavaleiros avança contra ele, mas ele despacha rapidamente o atacante. Então, enquanto mais 2 atacantes entram na briga, ele os despedaça com facilidade, deixando apenas sua líder de pé. Ele avança contra ela, mas ela parece com medo e recua. Nesse momento, Jinwoo reflete sobre sua curiosidade antiga sobre se feiras mágicas sentem medo, e finalmente confirma com um sorriso malicioso que sim, eles sentem medo pra caramba. Então, enquanto a briga se intensifica, ele enfrenta a líder inimiga num confronto brutal, quase desferindo um golpe fatal até que, numa reviravolta inesperada, ela se rende antes que ele possa dar o golpe final. Enquanto sua voz ecoa pelo tumulto, ele de repente percebe que ela é uma mulher. Depois de remover seu capacete, ele estuda suas feições com surpresa. Ela implora por misericórdia, deixando Jinwoo atordoado que aquela que havia instigado a batalha agora implora por sua vida. E então ele responde friamente, apontando que já despachou todos os companheiros dela. Sem se abalar, ela insiste que é o dever inevitável dos cavaleiros proteger seu senhor a todo custo, convencida de que sua própria segurança é a base da prosperidade do seu povo. Para ele, no entanto, o argumento dela soa como nada mais do que papo egocêntrico. Indiferente aos apelos dela, ele se vira para ir embora. Mas quando ele olha para trás, ela avança contra ele de novo. Mas antes que seu ataque possa acertar, Tusk intervém para protegê-lo. Confuso, ele exige saber o que ela pretende fazer, e ela mais uma vez implora por sua vida, prometendo fazer qualquer coisa que ele peça. A cena muda abruptamente para uma ilha desolada onde uma formiga voadora sinistra se infiltrou na área, deixando destruição por onde passa enquanto massacra todos que encontra. De volta ao castelo demoníaco, a garota se apresenta como Esil, a filha mais velha da família Hajiru. Jinwoo, no entanto, comenta que não é a resposta que ele procurava. Ele esperava aprender mais sobre o sistema com ela, assim como fez com Baruka, o líder dos Elfos de Gelo, e ele pressiona ela perguntando se ela é atormentada por vozes mandando matar humanos. Esil nega isso, admitindo em vez disso que houve uma ordem diferente, uma para proteger o espaço. Intrigado, Jinwoo pergunta quando esse comando começou. Ela confessa que tudo começou no momento em que chegou aqui, e quando Jinwoo a pressiona sobre onde ela estava antes, ela responde que estava no reino demoníaco, e que todos só acabaram aqui quando recuperaram a consciência. Intrigado, ele se pergunta em voz alta o que eles estavam fazendo no reino demoníaco. De repente, algo estranho acontece. Ela começa a agir roboticamente. Sua voz fica plana enquanto explica que estavam se preparando para a guerra. Quando ele pergunta contra quem estavam se armando para lutar, ela revela que era contra um inimigo formidável, tão poderoso que os demônios tiveram que se unir para ter uma chance, e eles estavam prestes a lutar contra esse inimigo formidável. Mas assim que ela começa a dar mais detalhes, uma mensagem de erro de repente sai de sua boca, anunciando que os detalhes são confidenciais e que a conversa está bloqueada agora. Antes que ele possa pressionar por mais, ela desmaia e Jinwoo a segura rapidamente, percebendo que não pode mais pedir nenhuma informação adicional. A cena então muda para uma reunião na Associação de Caçadores. Autoridades revisam fotos do recente ataque da formiga voadora nas ilhas periféricas japonesas e Jinchoo relata que o ataque causou um total de 294 vítimas, com 108 caçadores entrando em combate. Entre os mortos estavam 4 caçadores Rank E, um Rank C e um Rank B. Gogan-hee fica espantado que um único monstro possa infligir tanto dano e Jinchoo acrescenta que a criatura foi finalmente abatida por um caçador Rank S, que chegou ao local. Gogan-hee deduz que as formigas aladas devem ter força de Rank S, um fato confirmado por Jinchoo, que cita descobertas do Departamento de Investigação após dissecar um monstro. Gogun-hee então aponta que a ilha atacada fica a apenas 120 km da ilha Jeju, alertando que se essas formigas desenvolverem capacidades de voo ainda maiores, poderiam facilmente alcançar o extremo sul da nação deles. Ele imediatamente pede ajuda ao Japão e pede que os países vizinhos sejam alertados. Ele lamenta que a ameaça inevitável chegou. Ele queria atacar primeiro para evitar baixas, mas parece que foi tarde demais. Determinado, ele declara que a 4ª missão de ataque à ilha Jeju está oficialmente em andamento. De volta ao castelo demoníaco, Esil pede desculpas a Jinwoo por ter desmaiado de repente. Ele pergunta gentilmente se ela está bem, e ela garante que está bem, até perguntando se ele ficou preocupado. Ele admite que ficou preocupado sim, então pergunta se a casa dela é perto. Esil aponta para uma casa logo à frente e eles entram. Lá dentro, o pai dela fica surpreso com o visitante inesperado e se pergunta se ela não tinha notado as incontáveis tropas silenciosamente surgindo da sombra dele. Jinwoo nota com apreço que o pai dela é bem perceptivo, mas logo as forças do pai de Esil o cercam, declarando que não vão deixá-lo sair vivo. Esse o intervém, implorando para o pai recuar, enquanto Jinwoo lembra calmamente ao pai dela que prometeu a Esil não machucar ninguém desde que receba a permissão. Tendo ouvido que Jinwoo derrotou tanto Vulcan quanto Metos, o pai dela está convencido de que Jinwoo não é um oponente que eles possam derrotar. A contragosto, ele entrega a permissão, mandando Jinwoo ir embora. Então, com audácia inesperada, Jinwoo pergunta se poderia pegar emprestada a filha dele também. Assustado, o pai dela exige uma explicação. Então Jinwoo explica que Ezio mencionou anteriormente que sabia a localização das permissões em todos os andares. O pai dela então pergunta se Jinwoo pode garantir a segurança de sua filha, ao que ele promete que sim. Satisfeito, o pai permite o acordo, levando Jinwoo a pedir para Ezio guiá-lo. Em outro lugar, vemos cientistas ocupados dissecando a formiga voadora, examinando cada detalhe com muito cuidado. De volta ao castelo, Jinwoo continua sua subida constante pelos andares e logo se encontra no 89º andar. Lá ele observa que tanto Igris quanto Tusk subiram de nível, um agora detendo o título de Cavaleiro de Elite, enquanto o outro é apenas um Cavaleiro. Ele reflete que um deles agora rivaliza com a força de um aventureiro Rank S, enquanto o outro é comparável a um aventureiro Rank A. Enquanto isso, Ezio preparou vários presentes para os nobres nos andares acima, pretendendo negociar permissões através dessas oferendas, mas Jinwoo descarta a necessidade de tais subornos. Ezio então o avisa que os andares acima do nível 90 são gerenciados por nobres de alta patente, num nível completamente diferente dos fracotes que ele vinha enfrentando. Então, obter permissões apenas conversando será extremamente difícil. Jinwoo concorda, comentando sem rodeios que ninguém se dá ao trabalho de conversar com quem considera fraco. Ele lembra que a família dela está travada numa competição acirrada com outros nobres demônios e promete que vai elevar a família dela para se tornar a mais poderosa neste reino. Ezio então pergunta por que ele poupou a família dela, e Jinwoo responde diretamente que é porque gosta dela, deixando-a corada e sem graça. Jinwoo reflete que ele realmente se dá bem com gente simples como ela e Jin. Então ele diz a Ezio para voltar para casa agora. Ele a lembra que ela acabou de avisar que as coisas ficariam difíceis a partir dali e ele não quer arrastá-la para o perigo. Mas antes que ela vá, ele pede que ela revele as localizações da permissão. Nervosa, ela se pergunta se é inútil para ele, mas ele garante que não é o caso. Na verdade, ele acredita que não seria seguro para ela continuar com ele. Ainda determinada a segui-lo e testemunhar seus feitos, ela insiste em ir junto. Então ele concorda e juntos eles sobem para o 90º andar. Lá, Jinwoo luta contra os monstros que avançam e percebe que Ezio estava certa. Tanto a força quanto o número absoluto de monstros nesta área superam de longe os dos níveis inferiores. No entanto, ele consegue avançar com pouca dificuldade até finalmente alcançar o 97º andar. A cena então muda para a Guilda Hunters, onde ficamos sabendo que tanto o Sr. Choi quanto Chai receberam uma convocação para o quarto ataque à ilha Jeju. O Sr. Choi revela que todos os caçadores Rank S do país foram mobilizados, e Chai se pergunta se isso significa que Jinwoo estará envolvido também. Ele então a informa que eles estarão cooperando com o Japão desta vez, já que as formigas voadoras também têm ameaçado aquela região. Chai pergunta quando o ataque começará, mas nenhum horário exato foi decidido ainda, embora ele acredite que começará em breve porque os caçadores da Guilda Gigante do Japão estão programados para chegar na nação deles ainda hoje para discutir a situação. Enquanto isso, vemos Jinwoo no 100º andar do castelo demoníaco, onde ele avista um Wyvern circulando acima. A criatura pousa, e montado nela está ninguém menos que o Lorde Demônio Baran. Jinwoo fica impressionado com a aura avassaladora emanando de Baran e se pergunta se tem alguma chance de derrotá-lo. Ezio congela de medo ao ver o monarca demônio e Jinwoo percebe que precisa derrubar Baran de sua montaria primeiro, pois lutar contra um oponente no ar seria desafiador demais. Baran então voa para cima, convocando demônios para atacar Jinwoo. Ezio entra em pânico sem saber o que fazer, e Jinwoo rapidamente convoca seu exército, agora fortalecido por seu domínio do monarca. Juntos eles enfrentam os demônios convocados, eliminando-os com facilidade, o que deixa Ezio maravilhada com o poder de Jinwoo. Ainda assim, ela permanece incerta se ele pode finalmente prevalecer contra Baran, já que ele é apenas um invasor, e ela se pergunta de que lado ela deveria ficar afinal. Baran então libera uma torrente de raios que cai do céu num ataque devastador em área, dizimando os soldados de Jinwoo e drenando uma grande parte de sua mana. Ezio quase a pega na tempestade, mas Jinwoo rapidamente a protege. Ele percebe que não é um raio comum, é um ataque de longo alcance com efeito atordoante. Embora saiba que seus soldados podem ser revividos, golpes repetidos como este vão esgotar rapidamente seu MP. Determinado a agir antes que seus recursos acabem completamente, ele ativa suas habilidades de corrida e furtividade para avançar contra Baran e mirar em seu Wyvern. No entanto, Baran bloqueia seu ataque sem esforço e Jinwoo fica surpreso que sua detecção de furtividade foi superada. Baran então arremessa Jinwoo com força ao chão e ataca com um sopro elétrico teleguiado. Jinwoo desvia do ataque, mas ele é interceptado por Tusk, que o salva no último segundo. Nesse momento, Iglis intervém e corta a cabeça do Wyvern, fazendo Baran cair com estrondo. Jinwoo respira aliviado, feliz que o Lorde Demônio foi forçado ao chão porque ele estava ficando cansado de olhar constantemente para cima. A cena então muda para a associação de caçadores, onde uma reunião está em andamento com Goto Ryuji, o mestre da Guilda Draw Sword, acompanhado por sua intérprete Hankawa. Gogani explica que a Guilda Draw Sword é uma das maiores do Japão, contando com 11 caçadores Rank S e sendo a segunda maior guilda da Ásia. Ele comenta que Goto exala uma aura inspiradora e realmente faz jus à sua reputação lendária. Hankawa então agradece à associação por ter aceitado a proposta deles de formar uma equipe de ataque conjunta. Kogun-hee, não querendo Aralat, diz pra ela não mencionar mais isso. Afinal, foram eles que pediram apoio primeiro. Hankawa então explica que a pesquisa deles, baseada nas informações coletadas e na dissecação das formigas aladas, revelou 2 pontos cruciais para a missão. Primeiro, as formigas voadoras crescem rapidamente após eclodir, mas têm uma expectativa de vida de apenas 1 ano, o que significa que se a rainha for morta, o resto morrerá dentro de 1 ano. A segunda descoberta-chave diz respeito ao comportamento das formigas. Com base nos registros de 3 missões de ataque anteriores, os pesquisadores descobriram que as formigas são fortemente atraídas por poder mágico potente. Hankawa comenta que essa característica será crucial na elaboração de uma estratégia para a próxima missão, e Kogun-hee concorda, notando que eles analisaram os movimentos das formigas com notável detalhe. Hankawa então traduz para Goto, explicando que a guilda deles planeja enviar 10 de seus 11 caçadores Rank S, todos encarregados de atrair as formigas, enquanto os caçadores coreanos estão programados para eliminar a formiga rainha. Jinwoo então expressa algumas ressalvas, apontando que essa estratégia pode forçar os caçadores japoneses a enfrentar milhares de formigas de frente. Goto, no entanto, está tranquilo, já que seus caçadores agirão apenas como isca, em vez de entrar em combate total. E a simulação de IA deles confirma que este é o plano ideal, e Kogun-hee concorda com o plano. De volta ao castelo demoníaco, o exército de Jinwoo continua sua batalha feroz contra os demônios, e o próprio Jinwoo luta incansavelmente. Ele mal encontra tempo para engolir uma poção de mana antes de notar seu MP diminuindo rapidamente. Vemos então Igris, Iron e Tank travados em combate com Baran, que parece bloquear sem esforço todos os ataques recebidos, incluindo o próprio golpe de Jinwoo. E num momento brutal, Baran agarra Jinwoo pela cabeça, prestes a acabar com ele. No entanto, Igris intervém, interceptando a espada de Baran. E Jinwoo aproveita cortando uma das mãos de Baran, enquanto Igris apunhala a outra, e o exército de sombras de Jinwoo segura o demônio. Em retaliação, Baran libera outro sopro elétrico que elimina uma grande parte das forças de Jinwoo, deixando-o alarmado enquanto seu MP atinge níveis críticos. Sem se abalar, Baran invoca suas lâminas e enfrenta Jinwoo numa troca rápida de golpes. O duelo em alta velocidade vê Baran dominando gradualmente Jinwoo, e ele até consegue desarmá-lo. Enquanto Baran tenta aplicar um sopro elétrico finalizador, Jinwoo segura os braços dele. Nesse momento, Baran avança novamente com seu sopro elétrico, mas uma reviravolta súbita, Ezio lança sua lâmina para desviar o foco dele. Aproveitando a oportunidade, Jinwoo canaliza o poder da mão do governante e com uma demonstração de força bruta, ele arranca os braços de Baran. Não disposto a desistir, Baran tenta mais uma vez liberar um sopro elétrico. Mas Jinwoo contra-ataca com um uppercut devastador que arranca a cabeça do demônio de seu corpo, derrotando-o de uma vez por todas. Jinwoo então coleta a alma de Baran, completando assim sua missão de coleta de almas, e instrui Ezio a informar seu pai que a família Hajiru está destinada a subir ao topo dos ranks nesta torre a partir de agora. Jinwoo finalmente adquiriu o sangue purificado do Monarca Demônio, e com esse ingrediente crucial, ele agora tem todos os ingredientes-chave necessários para preparar o elusivo Elixir da Vida. E assim, com a cabeça de Baran rolando, Jinwoo finalmente conquista o último ingrediente para o Elixir da Vida. Uma vitória épica no castelo demoníaco, mas que deixa perguntas no ar. A ajuda inesperada de Ezio foi crucial, mas qual será o futuro dela e de sua família agora que Jinwoo prometeu elevá-los? E enquanto nosso herói se aproxima de curar sua mãe, a ameaça das formigas na ilha Jeju cresce, com um plano arriscado sendo traçado entre Coreia e Japão. Jinwoo, agora oficialmente Rank S e com poder que não para de crescer, será convocado para essa batalha iminente. A jornada está longe do fim. O que você acha que Jinwoo fará primeiro? Usar o Elixir ou se preparar para a ilha Jeju? E qual sua expectativa para a batalha contra as formigas? Deixe sua teoria aqui embaixo. Se você vibrou com cada luta, cada estratégia e cada revelação, manda aquele like para apoiar o canal, compartilhe com todo mundo que precisa ver isso e, o mais importante, inscreva-se para não perder os próximos passos eletrizantes de Sung Jinwoo. O próximo vídeo promete a preparação para a cura e a tensão pré-Jeju. Não fique de fora.